Hi Scorpios, and welcome to your November 2021 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead of November. Happy Scorpio season. I'm really happy to be here. If you guys haven't had a chance yet to check out the November comprehensive astrology video, I will link that below and in the top right hand corner. It's a good little precursor to this video, as it will help you to understand some of the backdrop of November and some of the general energies coming in. So this is going to be a general reading for, of course, Scorpio Sun, Moon, Rising, or Stelliums. If you like it, if it resonates, hit the subscribe button below, and there will be an extended reading on Patreon. Okay, so as always, I will be doing intuitive messages followed by a week-to-week forecast. And let's dive right into it. Okay, so Scorpios, November. Right when you get into November, things are really going to start looking up. Things are going to be easier than you thought that they would be from October. So the end of October seems a little bit overdone to me, overcooked, and it's like rooting back from September even, where things were just really way too hard, and there could even be burnout coming from that period of time that could be affecting how you interpret the blessing that you have right now. Okay, so there is a blessing in the month of November, Scorpio, but you might not interpret it quite like that. So November, from an astrology standpoint, is introducing a lot of challenge, obstacle, and friction, not in the way that we tend to associate those terms, but in the right way. Like, because of overspending, you might have to cut back, but this ends up really helping you with your financial goals in the future. Because of over worrying, you have to change your mindset, and because of that change in mindset, you have a much better future. Because of having a lot of unhealthy habits, you have to maybe get to the doctor or start putting things into your system that are actually good for you, and because of that, you have a much better future. Do you see the pattern here? Something is kind of like eating crow in November, especially if you're having to really cut back in some ways. I feel a lot of Scorpios do. We have T-squares, right? Saturn, Uranus square in Taurus and Aquarius, Scorpio, inner planets of Scorpio season, Sun and Mars. So this creates a T-square, and what this means for Scorpio is that you are going to definitely be having some catalyst situations, and it's kind of like juggling and not feeling like you have the easiest time deciding, but because of that, you really have to make the best decision, and this helps you in the future. So try to keep thinking about it in this way as you're moving through November. Like, even if this is hard now, it's helping me in the future. Now I've learned a really valuable lesson. Now I have what I need. There is a bit of a psychological pressure that I feel on you in November, and I'm trying to really understand why this has to be this way, because I'm feeling the general Scorpio energy as within that T-square vibe. Like, I really want this, and it contradicts what I really want over here, that. And this starts to become really overwhelming for many Scorpios at this time. Though what I'm called to say is that every single thing that you're going through in November, every decision that you're having to make, every way that you have to maybe cut back or pull back, ends up being really good for you. Okay, so nothing that you're going through here is like bad karma for the sake of bad karma. None of it's just to make you suffer or make you have a hard time. But you do have it feels like some austerity for a better future or for a better way forward. And it can actually be really enjoyable. Okay, so this is where Scorpio has to let down the fear, let it go, and enjoy the process of that new diet. Enjoy the process of a new budget. Enjoy the process of the gift that the universe has given you during this time. Though that gift requires some degree of reacclimation. So as you get the gift of a great new house, maybe this means you have to totally rework your budget. As you get the gift of a great new degree program, maybe this means that you have to rework your work hours or something. And what I'm seeing Scorpio moving into the month of November what I'm seeing is that they kind of want both. Like, they want these great new gifts, but they also don't want a change in the previous way that they were outputting. And that's where the turmoil is coming from, is they're trying to then go into 10 of Wands energy and hold too much, okay, and have too much on their plate. And then that leads to not even burnout, but just psychological turmoil. So you have the Death card in your reading this month. You have the Empress. You have the Magician reversed. You are having to shed some energy. You are having to also think about where you've overdone things and where you've created too much, or where you have tried too hard, or pushed too far. 7 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, 2 of Swords. It's like, and 6 of Swords. It's like a kind of blind maximalism. It's like a blind spending. So just like using the credit card whenever you want to use it. It's kind of, there's something about the Scorpio energy right now that I feel to be a bit blind to what it needs to see, because it wants to take security in what it had previously created. So the overarching moral to me of this month for you deals with opening your eyes and accepting a new reality, optimizing what you previously had to where it takes less output and it's not as hard as it used to be, so that it's still there, so that you can still have security from it. But something about that has to also decrease, or something about that has to also wane in a way, so that you can actually embrace what you are taking on now. Because it's kind of like the energy of being between jobs, or being between relationships, being between. That's a good way to kind of think about this month. And a lot of people dread to be between something, to be between 2 chapters. And 6 of Swords really validates that too. But could we maybe start to think about that differently? Could we start to look forward to phases like that, where that free will and freedom and ability to choose our own days, choose our own way, could that be a nicer experience for you? And could you turn that into a situation that boosts your health instead of stresses you out and then makes your health worse? Health is underneath all of this, so I want you to really be paying attention to how you're feeling, like right before you go to sleep, when you wake up. Like, what is the first thought? Like, right when you wake up in the morning, is it an immediate adrenaline rush because you've got so much you've got to do in a day? And is that also maybe how you're feeling before you go to sleep? There is a need to basically have changes on every front as you're in between these 2 big outputs that you're in. I know it's kind of general, but this is a general reading. But you've got to maybe make things a little bit more general for yourself too. Maybe you need to stop overthinking things so much. Maybe you need to identify problems in a more specific way and seek out the proper answers for these problems, and then let that be that, and try to not let your mind become pulled down too much in these overthinking cycles. Because once we get into December, once we get into January, I'm sensing a lot more freer, a lot more healthier, a lot more prosperous Scorpio. But you've got something to figure out. If you remember in the November comprehensive astrology video, I was talking about how there's a stagnation that is really being targeted right now by the universe for shaking up. So you can basically know, like, if you're struggling with stagnation, you might be shaken up right now. That's just the way of these transits, Saturn, Uranus square, and then Scorpio T-square. Stagnation is the problem, and what evokes that to you in your life? Like, you might as well kind of shake it up now. You might as well prepare to get all of that together, or introduce some new shaking up things in order to feel better. And basically simplifying and making things a little bit more boring in some senses. Okay, so maybe You need to just stop worrying about things until it's time to deal with them. Maybe you need to stop solving things that aren't problems. That to me feels like the main issue for Scorpio right now. And it's very little about people outside of yourself, okay? This month has nothing to do with other people, okay? Some of you might meet other people, some of you might try to date or something, but I wouldn't really recommend it. I think that this T-square is not a very nice energy to be in desperation with that, though with the shaking up indicated it might happen for some of you just to get you into a little bit of a new headspace, okay? New headspace is really important for Scorpio. Yeah. And as I'm doing this reading for you, Scorpio, one thing that I'm getting very loud and clear from the universe, this is very interesting. I've never gotten this in a tarot reading before. They've got to figure this out themselves, is what I'm getting. So as I'm kind of like talking around your energy, there's not really a lot of like, here is the exact answer to what you're going through. And that's very deliberate. The universe is telling me that that is very deliberate because it's almost like the answer is not the answer right now. Like if you set up all of your questions, like all of the things that you're not sure about in your life right now, and you put them into very concise questions, that would actually be an interesting first step to figuring things out, making it a little more concise and less overwhelming. But the answers to these concise questions would not solve your problem. Because the problem is not that these questions exist and the subsequent answers that they will inevitably provide, but the problem is the way that you or a Scorpio during this time does not allow themselves to rest from it or does not allow tranquility because of these questions. And that's why the universe is coming in and it's saying, let them solve their own problems. They've got to figure this out themselves. Because it's not the question, it's some type of other dynamic that is basically keeping you in an erratic space, okay? And aside from that, what I can say is really nice about November. First of all, the month is going to go a lot better than you're thinking about it in October. It's really going to be with a lot of nice little pleasant surprises, and I see Scorpio really stepping up to the plate and doing what they need to do. But you have to maybe focus on how you've grown, or you have to focus on what what you've been thinking about now, instead of trying to like fix old spilled milk situations, you know. Try to get out of the past and try to just move forward with the gifts that you have, because I find you to be a very gifted sign right now, and I'm kind of worried about how the Scorpio energy is letting such a gifted time become such a turmoil-ridden time. Because we can do that, you know, we can turn any gift into a turmoil, or any turmoil into a gift, really. That's up to us, especially as Scorpio people. It's really powerful about setting the tone of any one given situation. Like, so quickly Scorpios can like change the entire, you know, all of a sudden this thing that I just love, I just hate it now, or all of a sudden this thing that I just hated, I just love it now. And the universe is really asking you to solve that here and now with your own capability. And overall for November, it's basically meant to be a change in how you control the tone of your life, okay? Like how you say, I just don't like this, or I just love this, and how that really affects it, and seeing your power within that. It's kind of complicated, but it's not a month where there's going to be any type of distraction from how you choose to color your life with your own thoughts and emotions. It's very powerful. At the same time, Scorpios, the things that you're doing in November of 2021 are setting long-term trajectories, okay? So any projects that you're involved in, any commitments that you have, really pay attention to these things, okay? And I think that 90% of Scorpios have already got their routine set and they're already ready to step up to this challenge. But for maybe that other 10% of Scorpios who are maybe procrastinating or not giving their bodies what their bodies need to do what they've set out to do, try as soon as possible to cut out any of the filler situations that are creating such stress, turmoil-ridden mindsets, because you don't feel like you can do what you've set out to do because of the filler, because of having to deal with too many things you shouldn't even be having to deal with. So On that note, Scorpio, let's talk about your week to week. It's very empowering once you just step up to this new challenge that you have had come in. Week number 1, you've got the Death card rooted down by 6 of Wands. So in the first week of November, you are going to have a transformation in your confidence. Okay, so new levels of confidence. It's like maybe you've done the hardest stuff now, and now you know that the rest of this project or the rest of this sequence or chapter in my life is going to be easy compared to this because I stepped up to the challenge and I did it. I think in the first week of November, you have some filler to cut, though. I think that you can be really rewarded by spending as much time as possible in the first week of November thinking, what do I not need to be doing anymore? What do I not need to be eating? What do I not need to be spending money on? What do I not need to be talking about or questioning or worrying about? And feel free to journal in detail and at length about this so that you can get it really clear in your own mind about what doesn't need to be an issue anymore, okay? Yeah, it feels really blessed and benevolent for you to figure that out now. Also, there could be a new minimalism. I find Death and 6 of Wands together to indicate minimalism because the 6 of Wands is kind of about indulgence and it's about, having a lot of excess. And the Death card in combination with that says kind of like a death to excess or death to indulgence. So there might need to be a really strong implementation of a better budget, of a better, that keeps coming up over and over again in your reading. I know it sounds kind of boring, like who wants to sit here and talk about budgets and talk about diets and stuff like that? But I think that those are probably the two main areas for Scorpio that would totally flip your psychology for the better, is to basically just have those things where they need to be. So first week of November is good to do that, okay? Second week of November, 2 of Swords rooted down by 6 of Swords. Try to take the blindfold off and because I've been seeing Scorpio covering their eyes. That's a psychic image that I got for Scorpio. It's like, I can't handle this. I can't face all of these things. I'm just going to cover my eyes and move forward. And you're going to have to face that in the second week of November, okay? You're going to have to take that blindfold off and know what you're moving into and know how you're going to face and open your eyes to the situation that's in front of you now. It's a lot better than you think that it is. You'd be surprised when we cover our eyes about the thoughts that can come in because we're not seeing how things really are. So that gives our mind so much room to make it whatever we want it to be. So I think you have a lot of refreshing feelings to come in as you see the truth of a situation, and let it be known also that in the second week of November, you are going to be in a transition. Okay. I think that this is probably going to be a transition of body. I think this is going to be a transition of mindset. I think it's going to be a holistic transition. It makes sense for you in Scorpio season with these T-squares that like things which are not good for you, but that you cling on to will transition in some way. And the second week of November is just such a good time to facilitate that because by the third week with 7 of Cups rooted down by 10 of Pentacles, you're already kind of back into this busy thing. You're kind of like back into this big project or back into a rush of some sort. And it's going to be really rewarding. I think you're going to get a lot of accolade or a lot of nice comments or popularity based on what you're really working on hard in the third week of November. But look at all of that stuff, like 7 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles. It's so much flotsam and jetsam, dare we say. It's so much of that. And what I want you to focus on in the third week of November is what really matters to me about this. What are the core themes of these situations that I'm in, and are they too dressed up? Are they too out there? Are they too over flourished or overdone to where I'm losing track of what the real aspect of it is? Nonetheless, it seems like a great wealth that you're attracting into your life, and wealth and maybe esteem and status or power. I mean, 7 of Cups is also about like seeing like all these potentials, like it can be skyscrapers in the mind as well. And 7 of Cups is one of my, I'm not going to call it my least favorite cards, but I think it's one of the most difficult tarot cards to work with for some people because it, on one hand, does indicate that people are thinking about what's important to them or what they think is important to them or what could be, future tripping to a degree. But it also shows that they're losing track of themselves, or they're losing sight of themselves by thinking about all of this distant stuff. So that seems to be profiting you with 10 of Pentacles, or that seems to be giving you a lot. And there's just going to be something in the third week of November that's kind of like, what is the substantive thing that comes of this? Like, maybe this is making you money, maybe this is giving you status, maybe this is giving you esteem, but where are you in all of this? And I think that you might have a very much of a coming to God moment, or a coming to a self moment, as you might actually just see the key. If you step back from these distant things, if you step back from how things could be in the future, the third week of November is going to give you clarity. But I also think that you have something to learn about having a lot to juggle, because that's just what I think with that third week too. It's like so many pentacles, so many cups. It's like so much abundance in your life that you can almost feel bad that you can't give it all the time that you want to give it. So maybe there's like a need to know what your specialty is, or what you can focus more, instead of trying to be everything for everyone. Week 4, the Empress rooted down by the Magician reversed. I like that. Okay, fourth week of November is, you're going to light up. Okay, you're going to come back to yourself. You're going to realize what you want. And you're also going to realize what you need to be. You're going to get maybe your idea for branding. You're going to get your idea for, who you want to be. That's a big identity improving combination. The Magician reversed is kind of weird with it though, because I do feel that there's some degree of dishonesty or mistruth that could be permeating into your existence. So you might want to really think about how you can allow truth to be a better player in what you're working with, and also how you can it's not always like lying or dishonesty with the Magician reverse. Sometimes it's just feeling like you don't have enough, or like you don't have enough power or enough at your disposal to make these big dreams happen. A scarcity mindset, basically. But the Empress is going to come in and remind you that you do have enough. Do you see how this is very evocative of Saturn-Uranus square, right? Where it's like one day you're feeling like impoverished, the next day you're feeling so much abundance, and it's like that tug of war. November of 2021, it's almost just necessary for us all to go through it in order to understand what we really want out of life. Okay, through that tug of war, through that struggle, through that movement, we're going to come out on the other side of it with a much clearer idea of what we really want. Anyway, Scorpios, let's talk more about that in your extended reading. We'll talk about working through this push and pull time and coming out of that with a lot more ease and abundance. And we'll talk about some of these transitions a little bit more as well. Overall, Scorpios, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, you are so much stronger and so much more powerful than you've maybe ever been in your life. But with that comes a whole new subset of considerations, right? And that's really what you're facing in this month of November, is acclimating to considerations you never thought you would have to sit with. So let's talk about that in your extended reading. You can click the center of your screen, and it'll be below in the description box. Have a great month, Scorpios. Bye. Happy Scorpio season.